We got the 2019 Dodge Durango. It came back, so we know I did cylinder heads in it, trying to solve like an overheating condition that wouldn't go away, and it was getting worse, and then it was like a misfire on top of that. So we did cylinder heads. We had an issue trying to get certain parts. One of the parts we couldn't get was certain camshafts because they were on back order. So we proceeded with the job because what other choice did we have? Chrysler. So for me, I'm gonna give my input on the job, give out tips and anything I experienced. So you want to know the symptoms I'm having is the engine is misfiring. Now you might not feel it a lot, but it'll come to a point where you feel it. It's not heavy. It could be almost barely unnoticeable if you don't know what you're looking for. The only thing that makes it an issue is the check engine light keeps appearing when it wants to. So when it's appear, it'll go back off on its own. Then it'll come back on. It happened here, present, and under my watch. So one of the codes we were getting after the big repairs was P0300 and P00A as an apple. Now, those two codes can line up. It doesn't matter what cylinder misfiring because it could be multiple. That's what the 300 is for. But when you get into the P00A, the camshaft timing code, and that one pointed specifically for the intake camshaft itself, just because it was contamination issue from like the chocolate, from the coolant, the milk chocolate milkshake, the coolant. You got the coolant and the antifreeze, the coolant and the engine oil mixing up, and it just makes like it's contaminated. You get like thick, how do I say, we just say chocolate milkshake, that's what we call it. Even at getting in your engine in certain parts, and with the VVT, we thought that contamination was throwing the oil pressure control valve off, or the VVT solenoid, throwing that off, or I don't know. We tried a couple things and still was getting a code, but it seemed like this problem was progressing more. I don't know if he was driving more or was progressing more. And last time I remember checking out his car, he was telling me there was like a tapping noise or something like that. I'm like, nah, ain't probably some weird, whatever. I thought it was gonna go away first startup, cold start, engine sound funny or whatever, and then it'll go away when it warm up, but it wasn't that issue. So another thing, if I'm trying to get my thoughts together, so when he dropped the car off to me, and it was noise was more prominent, and I knew where to go to. I knew we had a mechanical issue, so I popped the camshaft cover off, aka valve cover, and I checked directly at the intake cam, and we have worn out lobes in multiple cylinders, paired cylinders. It was only a V6, either way from left to right, it would be paired regardless, starting from the middle. But the starting forward, or I believe it's cylinder number 1, and that next one might be 3. I don't know how they got it numbered. I don't know if the back one is 1, 2, but I would believe that front one is, it should make sense that the one is in the front. I'm talking stupid and overthinking. 1, 3, 5. So basically the lobes is worn in multiple cylinders, and it's like 3 lobes that's worn, enough to not make that lifter operate and cause a weird misfire and cause timing codes, because, well, what if we're not producing the correct amount of oil pressure too from the oil pump that may have not be going bad? And either way, it's just too much stuff to try to conclude in this to say what could have happened for the lobe to like wear down. This is a known issue with Dodge. And another red flag for me when I would go pick up the oil pump the other day was there's on the receipts $50 a core on the oil pump. There's a $300, $150 per cylinder head. They got cores on cylinder heads. The dealership, Dodge, Chrysler, whatever, and it was a core on an oil pump. And then for me to like, dang, you got a core on an oil pump. I do not know most places using a core. I mean, asking for the part back so you could rebuild it, and then it could like F up some more or whatever. So it's like, Chrysler, what y'all running over there? What y'all doing with these parts? Clearly there's an oil pressure issue, or there's an issue with the valve train not getting a proper, I feel like not getting a proper lubrication to where these parts can fail. And then on top of that, they use lightweight oil, like lightweight. I believe it's 0W20 now. I believe they got like different weight. I don't know. When you're using in different lighter cars, and that's cool. Because the car is light. The load is not as heavy as an SUV, but I think you got something that weighs more and it's a little bit more, like I say, it's just more force to it on the engine. The engine will work harder because it's heavier. Why don't you step up the lubrication and do something a tad bit thicker? But they be trying to chase miles per gallon and stuff, so they keep the engine slippery as possible. But the slippery oil probably won't give you decent performance. But that's just not for me to argue. So my job is going to rip this apart. Gonna walk and talk pretty much throughout the whole job. It's not a how-to video, but it can be a good guide. Cash App, you guys want to like donate, you like my expertise, you like just my science, me going over this issue that could be an issue like you, how to resolve this type of issue, whatever it is, car tips, tricks, whatever, I'm here. $sign Leekautorepair, Venmo at Leekautorepair. You want to do super chat, you cool, but YouTube is going to take their part before they get it. It is what it is, totally up to you. So hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. If you don't get my videos on time, make sure you hit the notification button, or at the bell when you click the option, there's a drop down bar that's gonna, you want all notifications for everything I do, whatever. You can have that option, say when I'm posting, you get it. So I see y'all in the comment section, but let's get this video started. So we can hear the noise, I can hear it. It's coming from this side. Now, this side itself is quiet. I'm sure of that. Sounds really good. I'm gonna put my air over here. I don't know what that noise was. Something like fuel pump or something like that. I don't know. But you hear that? It's ticking real good. So you can see it's misfiring way more than ever. Like I said, it's like a progressing issue. And like I said, make sure you know where you're looking for. Use your senses. So if you hear, you put your head in the center, stick it over here and be like, well, this side sounds really good. It's really quiet, like really good. Put your ear over here. I hear it more directly over here, so that would let me to take the upper plenum off and pop the cover off to inspect more. So let's get this inside and we're gonna strip this down. So let's quickly go over things that needed to come out. So you can see I took and I don't like touching these things, but it is what it is. You're gonna take this lower shield off, and that covers the bottom of the radiator. You got to get the coolant fan out to give you room, so that way you can get the crank pulley out and any additional stuff. Probably don't have to remove it. That's you. Me, I'm removing it. Differential, I don't know if you can see on the ground. You need to get, well, I don't need to show y'all. If y'all saw it in the video, the rear diff got to come out. Crank pulley, idler pulley, belt tensioner. This valve cover is going to be a pain in the ass because you got like certain components on the side to get out. If you watch one of my other videos where I know they give you a few tips and stuff, you'll know you have to remove stuff. Like there's a bracket along with the dipstick tube, got a bracket on it. You get those out the way. And there's a PCV valve in the back of the valve cover. Once you get that out, you'll be able to sneak it off of the cam and then maneuver it out. Your air duct come out, upper plenum with the valve cover. You also got, I never knew, some type of accumulator pumpy thingy, whatever. Never scared to know what the hell this was. Obviously a vacuum pump. What else? You got your cam sensor and your VVT solenoid. Those are going to come off along with your coil packs. So next thing for me is what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to go get something to eat. And by the time I come back, I'm going to, well, when I come back, I'm going to work the lower pan off. When I get the lower pan off, then I'm going to get the bolts to the inside, so that way I can be able to get the upper pan off. Once I get the upper pan off, then I'm right there at the oil pump, and the only thing next after that is to remove the other valve cover, which is not a problem because there's not many obstacles in your way of getting it out. I'll be able to get the timing cover off, and then from there I have access to go ahead and swap over the intake cam along with additional components and lifters and stuff, and then do the oil pump while I'm all in the timing configuration at the same time. And from there I'm just going to go back together. So let me take a break, and I don't know where I'm at with this video, but I gotta get these clips together and then smash them up to make one video for y'all, and it is what it is. Make sure y'all get them likes up and subscribe. We can lower this. Shouldn't be any electrical connections on here, but you should make that determination, right? That's your job, not mine. I imagine this don't fall out how it should, but if I lower this and probably maneuver it out a fancy way, it's gonna come out. Come on. All right, let me finesse this out. Let's go over a few things, or a lot of things I had to remove. So if you can see, behind the timing cover lays the T case, and that one was a pain in the ass, but there's only 3 bolts holding it in, and you kind of gotta like dive it out a little bit. Cooling fans gotta come out. We have the vac pump on the floor I talked about earlier, air duct, valve cover, the upper plenum with the throttle body still connected on it. My tool layout or whatever, it's a little messy. Some old parts I was replacing. You may have an issue trying to get the valve cover off. Most likely it's probably because, and I'll try to angle this. This is a PCV valve, and it literally just screws into the back side of it. So bend a tab back, and there's like a locking tab. Once you do that, rotate it over, and then it'll come out, and then you'll be able to sneak the cam cover over the valve. I mean the cam cover over the camshaft itself. I'm sorry. It's hot in here. Your cam sensor, VVT solenoid. You got the coil packs need to come out. The suspension part going to be a little bit tricky. I recommend separating the upper. Sorry for touching the camera like that. I didn't mean to. But you're gonna have to separate at least the nut for the upper control arm. That ball joint separated, and it came loose without like me whacking anything. So it literally came out that way, so don't sit there and try to like whack it or whatever. Tie rod separated the nut for, as you can see, I screwed it back on. The sway bar link, that needs to come out as a nut and bolt setup. Once you get that out, remove it from the bracket off the strut. The bolt for the fork for the strut, that needs to come out. And once you get those few things off, you'll have, and of course you got an axle nut and everything. You'll have enough room to slide the axle out of the differential. I recommend separating, or at least taking the bolts off for the, what can I say, the steering rack. Once we got a nut and bolt right there, and you can see like the crevice in between there. Me shaking the camera trying to hold it because I'm literally balancing myself on my shoulder. And you got one on the opposite side, and there's another one on the back side. You'll see which one I'm talking about. So technically there are 3 bolts. Now, you won't be able to get the rack out. You can if you lower the subframe enough, but you can leave it in there. I recommend, which is the next point, I'll tell you before I tell you what to do. The strut front, the bolts for the subframe, one, and there's another one on the other side, and then the one in the back, I never loosened it, so that stayed still. So let's see why we need to do that. I was trying to separate bolts like it's 3, like in a triangular pattern. You can try to remove it, but it's gonna be hard to get the other side out. So what I recommend is, you can try taking the top nut off, but yeah, take the top nut off. Once you get the top nut off, then you should be able to just slide in and out like the stud. and do the same thing for the opposite side. And once you do that, then we hook up the engine support bar. So if you notice from the timing cover, there was a chain, and I needed the chain to help support the engine with the engine support bar. So there's enough room from side to side for you to get some hanging power. And we need to hang the engine up so that way we get drop the subframe down. And once you get the subframe dropped down, assuming you took the front bolts off, then you'll be able to, with the engine lift up from the support bar, you'll be able to get sneak the oil pan out. Now I recommend trying to get the pan out. Let's go back from the bottom. There's two 10mm bolts for the pickup tube. Once you get those out, and probably take that out with the pan, or probably sneak it through like the little access right here for the lower pan. You got to take the lower pan and then do the upper pan, because there's bolts inside that you need to get to. Once you get those, like I said, you'll be able to sneak the pan out, assuming the engine is hoisted up, or at least supported up with the subframe lowered down, and with the rack still in the way, you'll have enough room to angle it and everything. Now, and even before, like when I got the differential out, I was able to access the bolts that go around the oil pan without a problem. So you use like basic tools for that. You can see we got a new oil pump in it, and there's a $50 core, and that's kind of suspect that they got a core on the oil pump, and they need to core everything just because Dodge, I don't know what the hell is going on, but like I said, back order cams, and I had to go like a used. We'll talk about it later. I don't want to feel like talking about it now. Let me Let me get off my goddamn back. It's hot in here. One other thing I forgot to notice, if you see that shiny thing I'm pointing at over there, that's the differential, but we got regular differential bolts to get in with like an Allen size socket, and like I said, it's not a problem. Comes out cool, and it does push back in there like out a little bit, so you got room to finesse it out the coupling basically. And what more can I tell you? You're gonna have to separate the steering shaft once you get the Torx out. I don't know what size Torx, like a 50 or 55. The bolt comes out good, and just grab a pry bar and a hammer, and then just strike the pry bar side with a hammer until it keep tapping until it comes off the shaft, and then leave it off to the side and make sure your steering wheel is straight. And to get the oil pump, it was like 4 bolts holding it in, and then you got like a connector on the back side of the connector. If you follow the steps, there is a push-in tab. Push the tab in from where the connector side is. You'll feel it around the connector, like the base of it. Push that in, and you'll have to somehow like wiggle or rotate it out. You can see the blue wires, whatever it is, get it. I don't know. You're gonna have to wiggle it out. It's a little tight, but eventually it comes out, and that's just the connector, because that's like a solenoid on the oil pump. I also did this job on the ground. If you notice, 2 jack stands I used, and then a transmission jack to help me with the T-case, because I'm doing everything by myself, so everything got to be sturdy. But this is my go-to for everything, using 6-ton truck jack stands, because they're strong and I can get super height with it. A lot of height. So this is the part I was talking about. It's disgusting. I do got the engine hoisted from above, if you want to take a look at that for a second. The chain setup I was talking about, just got a regular chain, and there's a hole through there. Just get a nut and bolt, and you cool. But you're gonna need this to support. So you wanna know how I got it. Look how that is. And then if we go over, bam. Well, I got that set up now from below. I have access. You're probably gonna need that amount of space, like that distance, or probably try to grab a pry bar to tug it down just a hair. But you'll be able to sneak the oil pan out from in the center. Just dip it down, and then it'll come out. But I got all the room in the world. If you guys want me to crawl underneath like some more to show you guys, I don't want to get like oil or nothing like dripped on me. So I'm going to clean the surface up real quick, get the RTV set up, and I'm going to button this up. Mira cómo se ve. Mira cómo se ve. Mira cómo suena. Suena muy bien. Y creo que tuve éxito con el trabajo. Todo está en orden, está funcionando muy bien, sin ruido. That's la parte que me gusta. I'm gonna test drive this, make sure it's good. Y'all wanna know why we use engine covers? You hear that? Hear it? That's why they use engine covers, so you don't hear like the valve train. It's not tapping or nothing like that. That's normal noise. That noise is normal. Pero voy a checar algunas cosas por la carretera. Want to act right, want to be in the start and stop. We're gonna let go of that brake pedal, start him up. But I put that turn signal on, but we're gonna floor this joint because you got some proving to do. You got some other proving to do, bitch. We definitely getting you on the highway. We taking you to up there. I know this is 3.6. It's not gonna give you no SRT8 action. It's the best I could do, goddammit. Let's go, bitch. Come on. All right, just a little bit too fast. So I took it to the crib because I gotta wait for the oil pan. You got the lower pan and you got the upper pan. So the upper pan takes RTV sealant and the timing cover takes RTV sealant as well. So get one tube of each if you ain't gonna get away with using one tube or whatever, like the Permatex one that you get from like AutoZone. So make sure you get like 2 packs, one for the pan, one for the timing cover. And again, there's no gaskets that you need to buy. You just seal it back up again. So seal the lower pan as well. And then I want to let that dry like overnight or whatever. Really let it cure for like 24 hours. If you, I haven't seen them cure up in like less than 24 hours, depending on the temperature. If you want to put like a fan on it or something like that to make the process faster, it's totally up to you. But you guys seen everything I done took off just to get this job done. This type of job it's very tedious, it's annoying, and it's even harder if you attempt to do this job like in the heat or something like that. So I don't know what it's a one-man band job. I mean, one man by yourself or whatever. So if you want to use a helper, you can use a helper. But if I showed you what I did, the setup I got, all that, you guys should be able to wing it with the hell of a lot of frustration. Engine support bar, trans jack I use, the floor jack I use, a block of wood, whatever you gotta do, you gotta do. Sir, a lot cheaper than a dealership. Realistically, I find like a private mechanic, somebody like me, who could do it, or maybe like a YouTuber or something like that. There's plenty of people out there you can contact, but find somebody like in your town, in your city, in your state, whatever. They all over the place. You can find them. But if you want to take it to the dealership, totally up to you. Parts, totally up to you. I'd rather everybody try to get the parts from the dealership. Some parts is going to be harder to get. The oil pump took some days to come. The intake camshaft, which that's why I did the job in the first place. Lens, you can see the cam worn down. Multiple spots. Try to hold the camera a little steady for you. So if you see one right here and it dug in pretty good, and the lobe, it ain't a lobe no more. It's pretty bad right here as well. Let me try to zoom in more. See that right there? We have one to the cylinder next to it, and I'm expected to probably see more along this. Now, I'm looking at the exhaust cam, which is this guy right here. What I was looking at was the intake cam. I didn't see it like worn out. I saw it like worn on this side. I'm gonna keep on looking and make sure I can get enough stuff as possible. So I'm just checking just to see stuff. But because we couldn't get a cam, it was discontinued. That cam was like worn down like the lobe, and it was like ticking and or tapping, making noise. So we had like some fell like rockers basically, and the lifters didn't fail. It was more so like the rockers in the cam. So what the dealer said, back order on the bank 1 side, which is the side that was affected. Bank 2, they can get both cams. You can get the cylinder heads. We got that. We couldn't get cams for the. I don't know if the dealer or yet the search and how it is, if they did search throughout like the United States or something like that, or around the country. I don't know. I don't have like a solution for that. So try to find like something used that's like in good condition until you can get those like appropriate camshafts, the ones that was on back order. You stuck, like I said, that's up to you. Pay for the work just to get your car back on the road and go to like the cheaper route until when they get it everything in, or well, I was on back order, just go back and get your parts in the future and then do it correctly. But either way, with this type of job, the 3.6 Pentastar engine, and we in the future, it's like I felt bad for like a lot of people who got this car because you need engine work. They can't even get these parts, so it's like y'all kind of stuck. And I'm the mechanic, and if I can't find it, I ain't got no solution. And I'm not an engineer. I don't make parts, so that's another thing. So do your searching. That's you to do your DD. That's how you found me in the first place. But what are you throwing?
This is mine.
Oh. But I'm going to conclude this video because Lee keep interrupting me or whatever. So Leekautorepair, 2019 Dodge Durango 3.6. I did the intake cam warned out, but really the video was based on like the oil pump and what's needed to like get the job done. So of course you got to take out, undo the timing, got to undo the timing chains, and if you're just only doing the oil pump, you don't have to touch the you got to. There's a tensioner in the front of the timing cover that you need to remove. Once you get that slack off that tensioner and put it into the lock position, then you'll be able to, wing the rest of the job without affecting the timing. Now, if you like me, you need to do the intake cam. Yes, you're gonna affect timing or whatever. So redo everything. So the timing is set, everything ready to go. I just need to button up with the suspension, and that's about it. So probably have videos on how everything sound afterwards. Probably not, but fingers crossed. With the used cam I had to get, once again, I'm just a mechanic. I'm not like the engineer. So we'll just see how everything like turned out. Leekautorepair. Enough talking, and make sure you guys hit the like button. Make sure you guys hit the subscribe button, and yeah, that's about it.